Hey everybody. So right now in my history classes, we're talking about the American Great Depression. This was a period in history that lasted from 1929 to 1939. And it was really a hard time for a lot of people. That's why they called it the Depression. And so during this time, like in 1933, 25% of all Americans were unemployed. It's really bad. Sometimes fathers, husbands would go off and just leave town trying to find job, trying to find work so they could bring money home to their family. People stood in long unemployment lines. People lost lots of things. It was really hard. But during this time, there were some new things that were happening, some inventions that were being created that may not have otherwise been created, except the time was right and circumstances were right. So we're going to play a little game. I'm going to show you some things that were invented during the Great Depression, and we're actually see if you can guess. I'm going to show you a couple things, see if you can guess which one it was, and then I'll tell you about it, okay? Let's play. All right, ready for this game? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you two items, and you're going to tell me which one you think was invented during the Great Depression, all right? Number one, between paper plates or an electric razor. Which one do you think was invented in the 1930s during the Great Depression? Paper plates, electric razor. Go ahead right now. Shout it out. Shout your answer out. Go ahead and guess. It's okay. You can guess right now. Go ahead. All right. What'd you say? Did you say paper plates? No, you were wrong. Not paper plates. It was the electric razor, in fact. Yes. A man named Jacob Schick, S-H-I-C-K, Schick, a man named Jacob Schick invented the electric razor in 1930. Now, years before, he had been on a trip in Alaska, and he really did not like shaving with a normal razor blade because you had to use cold water, lather up your face, and he just didn't like that in the cold. He was like, man, I wish I had something I could just shave dry and not have to worry about water and all that stuff. So he got thinking about it. He already had a little company selling these kind of razors. Well, before he got to do really anything about this, he had to go off to war, World War I. And while he was in World War I, he was looking at the weapons and the kind of blades they use, and he came up with the idea to make a razor blade with a removable head, just like that. And he came back after the war and started selling these, and they became very popular. Heads that come right off. Oh, who would have thought? But he didn't forget about the electric razor. He kept working on it and working on it and finally came up with a patent by 1930 for a real working electric razor. And so he made it and people actually liked it. And so years later, and he died in 1937, so he didn't get to see really what happened with his invention. But years later, his company, the Schick Company, which, by the way, they're still around today. They still make razors. The Schick Company sold the electric razor division to Norelco. And so you still have them around today. All right, that was round one. Let's go on to round two. All right, for round two of our game, see how you do. Thinking of a car. Which one of these do you think was invented during the Depression? Was it the sunroof, so they could see the moon? Or was it the radio? Which one do you think? Take a guess right now. Sunroof or radio? Which one invented during the Great Depression? Go ahead and guess. All right, you done? Okay, all right. If you said radio, you were correct. It was the radio. Yeah, there were two guys, the Galvin brothers, and they went on a double date with these girls, and they took their car up to this high lookout point and parked the car, and were having a romantic night with the girls. And one of the girls said, "Wouldn't it be great if we had some way to play music in the car? That'd be awesome, play music in the car." And so later the boys were thinking about it, and these two boys said, you know what, there's gotta be a way. So they started tinkering with different ways to put some kind of music player in the car. And they actually invented what would be known as a radio. They didn't call it a radio, they called it a Motorola. because it was in an automobile, a motor car, the Motorola, and they thought it's great. After just a few years, they were able to make a deal with the Ford Motor Company to put one of their little Motorola devices in the new cars that were coming out. And one thing led to another, and we have car radios. Yes, during the Great Depression. All right, it's time for round 3 of our game. Which one of these things do you think was invented during the Great Depression? A granola bar or the chocolate chip cookie? Which one do you think? Your pick, granola bar, cookie. Granola bar, cookie. Go ahead and take your pick right now. Which one? Which one? Which one do you think? Granola bar or cookie? Okay. Got it? Here we go. If you said granola bar, you are incorrect. It was the cookie, the chocolate chip cookie. Yes, the cookie. Now, there was a woman named Ruth Graves Wakefield. During the 1930s, she worked at an inn called the Toll House Inn, and one of her jobs was serving cookies to the customers, just to make them happy. Now, butterscotch cookies were very popular, but she was looking for an alternative that she could serve in addition. And so there's different rumors as to how she came up with this. Some people say that she was trying to melt the chocolate and make like a chocolate swirl cookie or something like that. Later she said, no, it was all on purpose. I meant to do this. I don't know. But what she did was she put some chocolate bits on a cookie and baked it, and people loved it. Years down the road, she sold the recipe to Nestle, and Nestle then put a variation of her Toll House cookies on the back of their products, and the rest is history. Chocolate chip cookie, probably the most popular cookie in America. Of club. All right, it's time for the last of our game. Number 4. What do you think developed during the Great Depression? Monopoly, the game, or Legos? Monopoly or Legos? Legos or Monopoly? Which one do you think? Take a guess. Take a vote right now. Go ahead. Monopoly or Legos? Legos or Monopoly? Which one do you think? All right, if you said Monopoly, you're correct. It was Monopoly. Monopoly. See, during the Great Depression, lots of people were playing board games because really there wasn't a whole lot else to do. And there was a woman named Lizzie Maggie who came up with this idea of having a game that had to do with buying and selling property. And so she put the basics of it together and started teaching people how to play. It was very rudimentary at the time. But it caught on, and people started playing this game that would later become known as Monopoly. Later, there was a man named Charles Darrow who saw this game being played, and so he kind of put it together and introduced it to a company called Parker Brothers that makes games. And Parker Brothers liked the idea. They're like, yeah. And so they decided to make and sell Monopoly. But then they found out that Charles Darrow didn't actually invent it, even though he claimed to invent it. It was actually this woman, Lizzie Maggie. So in the end, they paid her the royalty to buy the idea of Monopoly from her. And so they did, and guess what? They paid her a grand total of $500 to buy Monopoly from her. And then they went on to sell about 300 million games of Monopoly. Yes, so Monopoly was made during the Great Depression. But wait a minute. If you said Lego, you were also right, because Legos were also made during the 1930s. But not in America. They were made in Denmark by a man named Ole. Where's his name? I lost his name. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Ole Kirk Christensen. How could I forget that name? Ole Kurt Christensen was a carpenter in Denmark, and he began making wooden toys in 1932. A couple years later, he called his company Lego, which means, in Danish, it means to play well. Play well. His theme for his company went something like this: only the best is the best. Only the best is the best. Only do your best, and only the best is actually the best. So Lego took off from there. Later on, started making plastic toys, and the rest is history, and a lot of money. So a lot of things happened during the Great Depression that actually we still have today. Things that made a difference. And so you never know what you might do or what might be happening around you right now that people are going to talk about in 100 years. All right. Thanks for watching. See ya.